Maybe I blame it on like house hunting shows.
Oh, those shows are the worst. They set a horrible precedent.
Vancouver has such a unique market.
My biggest advice for saving for a down payment is
We bought our place for our mortgage payment is
3 years ago, being someone who was not in any way, shape, or form considering owning property and having this be a reality for me, it is so possible, even if you're starting at zero.
Buying a home can feel like an overwhelming dream with so many people thinking that it's out of reach. But today, we're here to talk with those who have made it happen. Real stories from first-time buyers who've navigated the journey and found their way home.
I'll go first? I'll go first. Okay, my name is Tasha and I'm 35 years old.
and my name is Veronica, and I'm also 35 years old, and we just bought a home together.
Oh yeah, yes. Hi, I'm Denise Mai. I've been a Vancouver realtor here since 2010.
do you want me to look at her or here? My name is Jan Michael Campen, and I am a mortgage development manager at Van City Credit Union.
Hey,
Hello.
how you doing?
Welcome.
Good, how are you?
I'm Todd.
Tasha.
Tasha, nice to meet you.
I'm Veronica.
Veronica.
Nice to meet you.
I mean, should I say this on camera? I hadn't watched his show, and I didn't know who he was. And Tash was like, "Oh, he was like on this big like TV show," and I was like, "Oh, cool." I didn't grow up with TV.
I'm excited to see your space, but this is cool. This entryway is very unique.
Welcome to the internal oasis.
I know. You don't know that this is here when you're out front. I live right up the street from you guys.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That was interesting to learn that Todd lives like a few blocks away from us, so
Yeah.
maybe in a slightly bigger place.
Let's see your space.
Yeah,
come on in.
Come on in. Welcome to our space.
This is fantastic. So tell me about it. First of all, how many square feet do you have in here?
Oh, it's about 750, 2 bed, 2 baths, and then this beautiful living room, kitchen situation. We bought our place for
$638,500.
our mortgage payment is about
$3,160.
She knows exactly.
Comes out of my bank account, so
Yes, it does.
I know.
What Tasha and Veronica did that was amazing in their situation was that they took advantage of the cyclical nature of real estate. The spring and fall markets are usually the hotter times, and the two slowest times generally is usually the summer market and the winter market. Summertime, kids are out of school, people are on vacation, their mindset is not really on real estate, and especially in the winter market, it's cold, it's snowy, holidays.
The bed and the bath, and then the other bed and bath are a little bit separate, gives a little bit of space, a little bit of privacy.
Yeah.
Open, lots of sunlight, I find. It's great.
Yeah, it's super bright in here.
The several plants love it, as you can see.
Yeah. First of all, I'm impressed that you can keep a plant alive. We don't have any plants whatsoever. We got 2 kids, they're still alive, but awesome. So you got 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and then I see a little space at the front there.
Yeah, there's just a little like office space there.
Can we take a peek at the bedroom?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, let's do it. Our primary bedroom.
Nice.
Relatively spacious.
Nice
You
and
got
cool.
walk-through closet.
Exactly, and a little bathroom in there.
And then, yeah, you can see the window through to where the office is, so we get that natural sunlight and
Roll out of bed and right into work.
pretty much, yeah.
That is my life.
I love this conversation.
Same.
First time home buying is the most interesting kind of leap that
Yeah.
people make. And
Yeah.
then once you kind of get there, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, this
Yeah.
this is not as crazy
Terrifying.
as terrifying
Yeah.
as it seemed. Okay, so let's talk about the home ownership journey, because in order to get to this gorgeous new place, there's a number of steps that everyone has to go through. Really, the first step in the process is figuring out a down payment. And that I think is the piece that stops people or is overwhelming. So how did you get to that point?
Tash and I, at that time, were getting together. She was still in school or just sort of finishing school, wasn't in that place yet. But then we, figured out, okay, how are we going to do this together? When we then came together and we shared those costs, that's what we ended up doing. That then allowed us to save together for this place.
My biggest advice for saving for a down payment is start as soon as possible. Always put as much as you can away, but have a goal. Break that goal down into bite-sized chunks and be as absolutely consistent as possible.
Have a budget in mind of how much you want to spend on a property. To have at least 20% down is usually the recommendation. You could potentially have a lower down payment, but that's going to be a conversation with you and your mortgage broker.
I think around the time that we were looking at this place together, we had about $60,000 to $70,000 saved.
My kind of favorite simple rule is the 50-20-30 rule, which is that about 50% of your income goes to fixed costs, 30% goes towards variable costs, those costs that are kind of between wants and needs, but mostly on the wants side, and then 20% goes towards savings.
Okay. Let's talk about mortgages, because this is the part that some people go, ugh. And there are some different elements to it that are a little tricky to navigate, especially when you hear all these terms. They're flying at you. You don't know exactly what they mean. As you were trying to kind of figure all of that out, did you go in with a certain idea of what you wanted? Did you get advice? Did you change from the original plan? What was your experience?
You've been with Van City most of your life, right?
Yeah,
And
first bank.
we wanted a mortgage if possible with Van City, balancing out the costs, of course, and wanting to get the best rate possible. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if I'm, giving a bunch of money to a financial institution, where they put that money matters to me, to us. And so we landed with Van City, I think, pretty quickly.
What did you choose?
So it's a 5-year fixed rate mortgage.
There are generally two types of mortgages in the industry. There's your fixed rate mortgage and your variable rate mortgage. The big difference between the two is with a variable rate mortgage, your rate on your mortgage actually starts to fluctuate. It goes up or down depending on what the Bank of Canada does. The fixed is your rate, whether you can pick a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5-year term, or even longer. There's lots of options out there, and that's your rate for that length of time. Your payment stays the same.
I think a lot of people who are getting into this for the very first time choose a 5-year fixed.
Yeah.
That's what I chose when I first bought as well. And then I quickly shifted to variable rate mortgages almost exclusively after that.
Now that Todd's mentioned it, I'm gonna go exploring on variable rates. We'll see.
Yeah.
If you don't want to worry about rates, worry about the news, or worry about what the Bank of Canada is doing with interest rates, then definitely I think a fixed rate is something to consider.
And it's different for every single process. But I actually have 2 mortgages with Van City as well. I think people don't understand that they can actually reach out to whoever's working with you, your advisor. I actually emailed them the other day because I said, things are changing quickly, and I just wanted to get your take on the mortgage that we have and where the interest rates are right now and where we are in the journey of this mortgage, and would you change anything? And what would that cost? What would that look like? And they sent me back a complete email breaking down everything, and I felt super informed, and I was like, oh, okay, I can relax that based on all this information, we had the best possible mortgage that we could have, and that there might be another option down the road in a year or 2.
All of us at Van City are always open to talking to people that we've helped with in the past, sort of put them on track for maybe their next new goal that's coming up.
Yeah, I mean, getting over that first hurdle of figuring out that mortgage piece, and then hearing from them like, okay, so here's the range of what we are willing to finance you for. So they're going to give you some sort of number. You can get a mortgage for, $400,000 to $500,000, somewhere in that ballpark. The thing about having somebody like, you might be working with a realtor or someone at Van City to help you out with the mortgage piece, it's like you create this little team, and then you don't feel as alone.
Yeah.
And I find that when I've got somebody talking money with me who's helping that process out, I feel like, oh, okay, I can I can breathe, I can ask questions and kind of navigate through, because there's a lot flying at you.
So what does a realtor do and why you should use one? A realtor is there to really advise you every step of the way, because when buying a home, this is a big financial decision you're making. So you want to make sure you have the right person in your corner to provide you the right knowledge and expertise at the right time.
Was the process of getting approved daunting?
A little bit. I mean, they do ask for a lot of stuff, and there was, a whole list of you have to lay out the last few months of income and what are your assets and liabilities and all these things.
You have to dig up your whole life.
In paper. In paper, put it all out there.
Yeah.
But it was really helpful in terms of, again, the Van City specialist helping us walk through those and this is what I need from you. And
Notice
and
of
that was-
assessment, bank statements.
Yeah.
Van City really provided kind of a document of here's what you need to provide us. So you're almost going off a checklist. You're like, okay.
Then you get to kind of put the boat in the water, get out there and explore. So when you did that, where did you start?
Yeah, great question. I think Tasha sort of alluded to this, we were pretty flexible in looking at like kind of just what's out there and what makes the most sense financially in a way. We were wanting to obviously like get a bigger place from the 1-bedroom that we had. And we were wanting to, maybe move neighborhoods, trying to be a little bit more in a walkable neighborhood.
Vancouver has such a unique market here because geographically, we are landlocked. The north has the mountains, the west is the ocean, and south is the United States. So a lot of people, in order to afford more larger homes, they move closer east, whether that be Langley, Coquitlam, the Tri-Cities, and even Surrey. These are places that a lot of Vancouverites are now considering.
I think when we saw this place, it was relatively well priced, especially in the market that was like moving pretty quickly. And to be honest, I have to say, we didn't like totally have all of our ducks in a row. I like
Nobody
to peruse
does.
real
Nobody
estate, and
does.
that's okay,
But,
fair.
yeah.
So that moved pretty quickly. We saw this place, we were like, oh, it hasn't moved, it's pretty well priced. I did fall into place, we had an offer, we did a little bit of back and forth. We were, I think, literally at a dinner with your family, and the real estate
There's
agent
actually like a
called
photo
us.
up there that is the photo of my grandmother's dinner where we're
was
on
her
our phones
birthday.
the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Birthday dinner where we're like, are we doing this? Are we
We got it,
signing?
we got it.
Yeah,
Your heart's
exactly.
beating.
It's a lot of work building up and a lot of like thought and paperwork, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden when it comes
Moves
down to
fast.
it happens so quickly, and it's a really big decision in a very short amount of time. From the time that we went to go see it, from the time that we purchased it, I would say that happened within 2 weeks. You really do have to kind of do all that thinking and preparation.
You
leading
have
up.
to split your brain between this emotional attachment
Yeah.
and this strategic brain.
Yeah.
So, it helps sometimes if you have two different people
Yeah,
and
it's
two
true.
different perspectives
Yes.
asking different questions.
I think too, with the mortgage piece, like it's helpful to get an idea with the bank. What could we possibly be working with based on our finances?
Yeah.
Because then that helps you filter out what property you should be looking at.
How somebody typically figures out how much they can afford to begin with. Of course, there's tons of tools online. Like I mentioned, Van City has some great ones, as well as a how much can I qualify for calculator. You can put in a lot of information there. It gives you a general idea, but don't hold that as the end-all be-all. Once you get that other information about your down payment, your income, take that information and then speak to one of our staff. And then we work with you to go over those numbers and see what the strata is that you're using, what is the taxes that you're using on the property, your down payment, does that include your closing costs, which is things like property transfer tax, and then refining those numbers to really realistically see what it is that you're going to qualify for.
Maybe I blame it on like house hunting shows where it's
Yeah.
like they list the budget.
Oh, those shows
I
are
know.
the worst. I can't stand
Terrible.
them. They set a horrible precedent. You have to be super real about the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you can be a little bit dreamy about the property.
Yeah.
Yes.
But once you're real about the money, the property will start to align with the
yeah,
money.
very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But then you're out actually looking at stuff that is a possibility.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's when it gets exciting.
Getting a place together relatively early in our relationship made us have those tough conversations.
We decided to go with a cohabitation agreement. It's an agreement that you get if you're living in a relationship-like way, I guess, for long enough. And so you become common law, and you want this cohabitation agreement in place just to lay out all of your finances.
In the process, is there anything that you would have done differently, or?
I think for me personally, just on like the apartment viewing, I would have maybe tried to have a place that has a more set up outdoor space. It says a lot to be able to step outside, but also wanting to be flexible about where you live. So that wasn't going to be something that cut a place off the list.
The place that we bought wasn't our forever home. We really like it. We've made it our own, and we love the neighborhood. But I think as we think about, moving into the future and what that looks like for, what we're wanting to do, definitely keeping an eye out on potentially maybe like a duplex or a townhome.
So remember, your first home doesn't have to be a forever home. The first home you're gonna buy isn't gonna check off a lot of the lists that you're looking for. The analogy I love to give, it's like when you're finding a home, it's like finding a partner. You're gonna have to see what you can live with.
Especially when you're going through this process for the first time, there's so many people giving you their advice, and it's not necessarily what you need.
Right.
It's not necessarily accurate. It might have been accurate 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so trying to navigate that and keep the people around you happy as well
Yeah.
with the decisions that you're making is a tricky balance. Lots of people have opinions about money and what you should have done in terms of your interest rate, or they flaunt their, oh, we locked in at, 1.8 or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden you feel bad about it. And it's like, listen, everyone's process is different. Your application process determines what your rate, there's so many different things that it's unfair to compare. It's like being back in high school.
A really key thing when looking for housing, especially in a market like Vancouver, is be as creative and as flexible as possible, right? You mentioned compromise earlier, like be willing to compromise. Try not to have a list of 20 things that you must have because you're really gonna pigeonhole yourself. So in our situation, my sister rents out our second bedroom. Now we have some money helping us pay off the monthly mortgage. And she's got housing security at a bit of a lower cost than she might otherwise, right?
It's super smart.
Yeah.
I did exactly the same thing when I bought my first place. Had my buddy move in and rent the second bedroom. It basically, we just split the cost of it. That choice made it possible for me to buy that place. Multi-generational living, co-ownership, exploring all different options where you might buy a place with someone else as well that you might not be in a relationship. Like you could buy a duplex, you put in a suite. There's all kinds of creative ideas to help make the numbers work. And if you don't figure that piece out, then the journey ends pretty quick.
Yeah,
Exactly.
a little hooped.
Yeah.
For sure.
From 3 years ago, being someone who was not in any way, shape, or form considering owning property and having this be a reality for me, and then this is where we are now, it is so possible, even if you're starting at zero, right? Like, even my sister, having seen us go through this process, she's like, oh, I'm going to start saving now.
Right.
I'm going to start looking at what I can do for myself. And so a lot of it is just getting exposure to seeing that it's a
100%.
possibility for you kind of no matter where you're at. You just have to set those goals and be really diligent and educate yourself as much as you can.
Love it.
Has our relationship changed since buying this place? I guess you could say it's improved in the sense that we've tackled home projects together and gone through challenging situations.
Where it's not you versus me, it's us together and a problem. And I think in some ways this was a challenge that really I think did bring us together closer, and it forced our conversation, our communication to get better, laying out expectations, laying out what we are hoping and dreaming for together and for ourselves. And I think in that way it's a big step, but it was also super valuable, I think, in our relationship.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your story. It was super inspiring. Makes me want to go back to the beginning and buy my first place.
Yeah. Well, we're so happy to have you come in, and
thanks.
it's kind of fun revisiting the story of how we did it, and we hope it can help some other folks get on that journey as well.
Yeah, awesome. So that's a wrap on our visit with Tasha and Veronica. They made it happen. So can you, if you're thinking about buying your first place. It's all about teamwork, finding the right financial partner like Van City that sees people differently. And then, of course, thinking outside the box, get creative so that you can get the keys to your new house.